Hades 2 can be pretty challenging, especially for those who haven't already spent hundreds of hours playing the first game. Here are a few tips to help you get as strong as possible as quickly as possible. I tried to keep things as spoiler-free as I could, but you may hear or see some things that you haven't encountered yet, so keep that in mind. So let's take a look at this altar. This is the equivalent of the Mirror of Darkness. Basically, this is how you gain strength in the game. One of the ways you gain strength in the game. These cards are unlocked and revealed using ashes, which is a resource that you can find out in the world. Usually you're given the choice between picking up psyche or ashes. And so I recommend getting as many ashes as possible in the first few runs, because you automatically can equip 10 grasp worth of these cards. And what I mean by that is upper right corner, you see the little hand, and that tells you how much grasp this, or how much psyche this takes to grasp, I guess is the way that would be put. So you've got, these both cost 1, those cost 3, this costs 4, 5, etc. Now you want Ash to be able to unlock the cards, to equip them, to get stronger. But after a certain point, you're gonna have more cards than you have the grasp to equip. And that's where Psyche comes in. So you've got Psyche that you can also pick up during your run. That's the green stuff. And there's actually, if you equip the Tablet of Peace and use that on Wayward Souls, they will also give you Psyche quite a bit, actually. But here's the thing, it actually costs a lot. So some people didn't realize this, but you can upgrade your Psyche. So you go all the way to the right and then go right again, and then you can go here. And it tells you how much Psyche it will cost to increase your grasp. And in this case, it's 260 to increase my grasp by 1. So it starts to get pretty spendy. But as you can see, I've got a lot of cards that are not purchased, first of all, and also not activated because I can't afford it. I'm maxed out. Now, you may have also noticed these awakening cards. Basically, they cost 0 grasp, but they have certain requirements that have to be met in order for the cards to be active, I guess. So for this one, you have to have 3 cards that use the same amount of grasp in order for that to show up. So if I were to say, let's see, unequip that and then equip that, I would be able to get the messenger, right? Because I now have dodge, and that also frees me up to get 3 more somewhere. But as you can see, when I turn this one off, I get this one because this one requires that I have no more than 2 cards that use the same amount of grasp. So if I equip a 3rd card with 1 grasp cost, then this one no longer works. And this one gives you duo boons, and you all know how much I like duo boons. Another thing to note too is you can upgrade any of these cards. Eventually, you'll get something called moon dust. It looks like a cloud. Moon dust, and the moon dust is how you upgrade them. There's other resources required as well to upgrade them, but this is extremely important because, for instance, number 12 here, 12 is your Death Defiance. And so this is the first one that I maxed out because I want 3 Death Defiances, for sure. Very important to me that I'm able to come back after I die, because I'm still trying to get good. Like I said, initially grab as much Ash as you can and then switch to Psyche so that you can equip more of the cards that you've found. It's kind of a balancing act between the two. Kind of ingenious, actually. There is a way to purchase Ash and Psyche as well as moon dust through the Wretched Broker. He'll show up eventually. There'll be an incantation to get him, but that's with bones. So if you don't know which one you want to go for, or you just kind of want to collect whatever, you can start collecting bones. And bones are actually great because you get 50 of them from a room as a room reward, which can buy you a lot of ashes or a lot of Psyche, right? Just depending. Actually, it'll buy you more Psyche than it will ashes, or Faded Fabric, or even moon dust, or stardust, or nightmare, as you can see. But bones are very useful, kind of like a secondary. It's kind of like your currency with which you purchase things in the crossroads, right? My next tip is to unlock all the gathering resources as quickly as you can. Now, the Rod of Fishing requires bronze, which is very difficult to get, especially early on. But as for the spade and the Tablet of Peace and the pickaxe, I'd say especially the pickaxe, you want to get that as early as possible, as quickly as you can. And there's an abundance of resource nodes available. Plants can be collected without any tools. But if you want to mine silver, dig up seeds, catch fish, or release stuck stoles, you need one of the 4 gathering tools. You can acquire these 3 fairly early in the game, and you unlock them the same place that you unlock your weapons. Probably the pick and the spade are the most important ones, because you can get psyche other ways other than the tablet of peace, but these 2 you can't get silver or seeds any other. Well, there are some ways to get them, but we won't get into that. You know what I'm saying. But it's a good idea to rotate what you bring with you on a run, right? And I have some forget-me-nots, so if I have a recipe that I'm trying to find things for, this is telling me that my recipes require the spade to gather the resources, so I should take the spade with me the next time I go, which is actually a really handy mechanic. On that note, you definitely want to be gathering everything that you see. Always have a gathering tool with you. Gather all the plants, all of the mining nodes, all of the seeds that you can, because even though you may not have a recipe that requires them right now, I can almost guarantee you will eventually. So that's one reason, but also you can sell any of your extra resources to this guy. The wretched broker will buy back things from you for bones. But be careful too, because you've got a lot of things. Like I said, there's a lot of recipes that require these things. I wouldn't sell anything until you know for sure what you're selling them for. So if you're trying to save up bones to buy something for a very specific reason, to purchase something else, right, then sell some of your stuff. But otherwise, keep it around, because there are so many incantations that keep revealing themselves throughout the game. You're going to want to have resources on hand for when those pop up. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about was which keepsakes you should get first and whether they can wait until later, because early on in the game you have very limited nectar, and so you want to be saving that for the best ones, the best keepsakes that you can find. If I were to boil it down, I would say, maybe a god boon that you really like if you like Poseidon. For me, it was Poseidon and Apollo that I liked a lot. I would maybe grab Skelly's, the tooth. I would grab Nemesis, the evil eye, so doing bonus damage to the last foe that defeated you. I like Arachne. I'm guessing there's some people who don't like Arachne, but I just like being able to keep that armor on longer. I just really like it. But yeah, those are the ones that I would point out as being especially helpful. Okay, the next thing I'm going to mention is to use your cast. Initially, when I started playing, I focused on the attack and the special, and obviously the attack and the special is your bread and butter, how you're going to get most of your damage early on, but your cast is insane. It's super, super good. Enemies can't pass through it. Even if an enemy is doing like a charge attack or a leap attack, it'll stop and get stuck over your cast. So it's a great way to create distance, and then it keeps them in that location. It doesn't work as well against bosses. It still works somewhat, but not quite as well against bosses. But if they get stuck in that, then you can just wail on them as much as you want. And if you use your charge cast, then it does damage after the duration expires, which is super, super good. Not only that, but there are a bunch of these Arcana cards that boost damage for enemies. So like 20% bonus damage to foes in your casts. Okay. The Moon, your Omega cast has plus 50 power whenever it detonates. These are extremely, extremely powerful bonuses for your cast. So it can be, for many builds, your cast can be your primary damage source. You are, limited to a single cast location, so you have to be kind of wise about where you put it. But it is kind of like a zone of safety for you if you can make it to the cast circle. And then if you're doing bonus damage to enemies in the cast circle, it's pretty awesome. The other cool thing about the cast is that there are multiple boons that can be applied to it. You can get Apollo's boon that makes the cast expand in size. Meanwhile, you can also get Demeter's boon that makes the ice trickle onto it, or the ice damage apply, or the Zeus boon that makes it so it does lightning, or the Apollo one. So you can get multiple boons that apply to the cast circle, which makes it even more versatile. Okay, the final thing I'll say is that, when I first started, I was kind of frustrated that we only had one dash. It felt a little bit annoying that we only had one dash, but you forget that if you hold down the dash button, you can sprint, and sprinting you're actually quite a bit faster when you sprint, and so a lot of times there are enemy attacks that if you just dash and then run, you're not going to get away from the attack, especially against some bosses or guardians. So you want to be dashing and sprinting. Not only that, but there are a lot of boons that affect the sprint portion of the dash rather than the dash itself. So for instance, Zeus or Poseidon's dash boons are amazing. They do a bunch of damage. They do use a little bit of your mana, your magic, but they do a ton of damage and are really, really useful in a run as well. So don't forget about your dash like I have. All right, friends, that's gonna do it for my list of tips for early game Hades 2. What are your favorite tips for Hades 2? Leave a comment below and let me know what you do, what you think, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.